Hi, my name is James Northridge, and what I want to do here is have a quick look over some of the possible pieces of technology that SNAs might find themselves using over the next few weeks. So, if that is you supporting students that you already know in a remote capacity via video, audio, or other types of technologies, then I'm going to try and cover a few now. Hopefully, in the next week, we'll get a bit more clarity in terms of exactly what SNAs will be doing and what types of technology they can be using. And so once we get that clarity, I'll jump back in and do some additional training and some additional videos. So hopefully that will be of use to the SNAs that are watching here. To those of you who jumped on our webinar last week, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your Easter break and watching along. And my apologies for some of the technical glitches, but we did have close on 2,000 people that tried to log on, so that put us under a little bit of pressure. So not to worry, what I want to do here is I'm going to jump into 5 different pieces of technology. So first and foremost, I want to look at Zoom. So Zoom is one that's used quite a lot. I covered it a little bit on the webinar, but I just want to go into it a little bit more depth and detail. So Zoom is one of those ones that I would recommend using if your school does not have a Microsoft Teams team set up, or if it's not a Microsoft school, if you don't have a Google Classroom in your school. They're the kind of things I think that's, if you've got those obviously, then please use them. If not, then Zoom is certainly an option for you to be able to communicate with either students again that you know and that you've worked with, or students that you may end up working with. So there's a few things to bear in mind here. If I jump back one slide here on this page. So Zoom, if you were doing meetings that were over 40 minutes with more than 3 people, there was a 40-minute limit. Now that has been removed, and it's been made free for education, so K through 12 schools, predominantly just mainstream schools, so we'd be able to jump in on that. Let's go ahead and let's sign into it. So I'm going to sign in. I sign in via my Google account. So once I sign in here, you can see that I've already structured a few meetings, and these might be meetings that I'm having. They're recurring meetings. This is a check-in with Alan, and so to set up an account here, it's relatively straightforward. You either, if you have a Google account, you can set up with that, or you can use your email and you can use a password. Again, maybe just adhere to any policies that the school have in place, and maybe the school might set up a Zoom like admin account, and then you will get a sub account based off that. But just in the main, once you have logged in, once you've an account set up, this is the sort of infrastructure you'll see, and this is where we can schedule meetings with students. So I've already scheduled a few meetings here. So Alan is one of the students I have. I want to do a check-in with him every day at 10 o'clock just for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. And so besides me having to set up a meeting every day, I literally set up a recurring meeting. So you can see here are my recurring meetings with Alan. Let's go ahead and let's schedule another meeting. So schedule new meeting. And then in here, I just pop in the topic. So this could be, let's say, Oisin catch up. Apologies for my dyslexia. Oisin catch up, and then I'm going to put in the date. So let's say this is going to start now next week. Okay, so I have a meeting at 10. I want to start again on the Monday. It's going to be in the morning. I'm going to try and do most of my sessions in the morning. That's maybe what you do. So maybe this session now is going to be at 10:30. So this session now is at 10:30. I'm going to put in a duration of up to 30 minutes. My time zone will stay the same. This may well be a recurring meeting also. It just means that you don't have to set up the meeting each time, and the student doesn't have to look for a different link each time. So recurring meeting, yes. Recurrence will be daily. Repeat every day, so once a day. And then what we're going to do is you could just put in a certain end by date. So if you want to put in an end by date, so it started on the Monday, I'm going to end this on the Friday. Perfect. So now every day, 5 occurrences at 10:30, my session or my login and URL will jump up here in Zoom, and it will be specifically for Oisin. Let me just go down here and look at some of the security settings. So here on the left hand side, you see meeting password. So require meeting password is on by default. Please ensure that you let that on. That is very important. This is the particular password. You might have heard a few things in the media recently in terms of the security around Zoom, and it's not that they were hacked per se. It was more so that people were sending out Zoom meeting links, publicly on the likes of social media and not putting passwords on it, or not putting a potential meeting room or a waiting room on it. So just please bear in mind, if you are setting up one, you have to make sure that you leave meeting password on. In terms of your video, host video on by default or off by default. I would always recommend that they're off by default, and the same for the participant. So the student's video is off also. In terms of video, you can still do a Zoom and it can just be audio. So you could be on camera, for example, and they may not, and or vice versa. It could be just them on camera showing you something that they did or taking a picture of something. Audio, telephone, and computer audio, that's fine. In terms of meeting options, enable meeting or waiting room. That's probably one you want to leave on. Again, once you set up the meeting and you jump into the meeting, we will see that this waiting room is enabled, and the other person or the student or the family won't be able to come into the meeting or the kind of catch up until such time as you let them in. So it just is another barrier, I suppose, to stop potentially any people hacking that particular meeting. So let's go ahead and click save. So once you've done that, now this is the look and feel I see. I can see this is the URL. So this is what I'm actually going to send to Oshin to have his check-in session. And do I email that directly to him? It all depends, again, on your school policy. It depends on what your school are advising. My suggestion would be, if it's a primary school setting, then it potentially goes to the parent or the guardian. And if the students, maybe 4th through 6th class, sometimes will have email accounts set up, depending on your school setup, of course. But even if they do, I would always look maybe to CC a parent, or again, like a guardian, just for that extra level of security on your end. Again, you can copy this invite here and you can send it directly to them, or you can just copy this URL and email it directly to them. So that's the meeting set up as normal. If I go back here now to my meetings, so I can see these are all the meetings that I have going on. Okay, so I have Alan check-ins and I have Oshin check-ins. So I have a 10 o'clock and I've got a 10:30. And you might have, I don't know, 2 or 3 students that you're supporting. Depends on what happens or what structure you get. And this is a nice, easy way for you to do it. You can download the Zoom app, which is really nice as well. And you can see the meetings that are appearing, the meetings that are coming up in that given day. And then you just jump on here. And if I want to start the meeting, I can actually start these right now if I need to. So let's just start the meeting so I can show you what the back end of Zoom looks like. I'm going to click Open Zoom. And so once Zoom opens, I'm going to join with computer audio. So that's just going to be my headphones connected to my laptop. And so now I'm in the Zoom environment. So this is what you will see initially, and you're in here as the host. This is the password. This is me, the host. This is the meeting topic. And then if I go down here, I can start my video. My audio is already on. I can turn that off. On the left hand side, I can mute or unmute myself. I can select the various different speakers. So I have a number of different speaker options. That's just what's hooked up to my laptop. And similarly, I have a number of different microphones that are available. Of course, what I would recommend is that you test, obviously. Test. We always want to be testing. So test speaker and microphones. That's something, if you just click on it once. Okay, let's see. Yes. This is a quick test. Okay, so no harm to do that probably each time before you log on, or maybe at the start of the day, whatever it might be. You see up here on the left hand side is something that might be overlooked sometimes. See this small green little lock? So you want to make sure that lock is turned on, or that it's encrypted. That's quite important. So we want to just make sure it's an encrypted lock. And that's just another level of security. If I want to set up my camera, I can select my various different camera. If I go to hook up a camera, if I start my video, okay, so it sees me, just picks up the camera as normal. I can stop the video once more, and then I can see the participants. So at the moment, it's just me. If there was a waiting room available, then Oshin would appear up here, and I would just hit admit, or I think it says, anyway, I can't think of the exact terminology that it says. Something like admit, I think, maybe. So that's the participants. Then in terms of sharing the screen, this is the one that you might be using, or it might be just a bit of a chat over and back via video or audio, kind of a check-in kind of a situation. So if I click share screen, so it's going to give me a number of options here. So I can share my desktop, I can share a nice whiteboard, which depending on what you're doing with them. Then this whiteboard here appears. I can draw here. Yeah, I can do a whole pile of things if I was a better drawer, James. Yeah, we won't save that. Let's clear all drawings, stop share screen. Let's go back to share screen. So again, if I were sharing any apps or there was anything particular, if this was a student that had autism and you wanted to share particular apps that you had on your end, maybe on your iPad or your phone, and you wanted to show it to them, or maybe there's something in terms of visual schedules or whatever, you can do that quite easily through these options. So iPhone, iPad via AirPlay. That's only if you have a MacBook. If you're using a standard, yeah, there's a few more difficulties if you're not using AirPlay, but you can do it via cable. Then I can share different websites. I can share, this is just a preview of something I downloaded. So this is a document. If it was a document you wanted to share, which is in the background there, if I hit share there, now you can see this Microsoft for Education's PDF, right? And I could share it, I could talk about this, I could annotate on it at the same time, and we could share it, which is kind of nice. And then you have this stop share icon here. It's there, relatively large in red. So once I hit stop share, it jumps me back to this page. So hopefully that makes sense. There are a few more advanced options in there. There is the option. So you see here I can share computer sound. So if you are sharing something on your iPad or your iPhone and it's an app, let's say, I don't know, if it's something that makes, maybe it's Mats versus Zombies or something like that, that's quite colorful and noisy and stuff, and you want that sound to come across directly, then you just share computer sound also. And what I would also look at is some of the advanced options here. Who can share? Maybe it's only you want to share. That would be, for me at least, I'd just be a little bit particular there, right? So you might only want to share on your end and not let the student share what's on their screens. So again, just dig into some of this. I'll share some additional videos on using Zoom in a few seconds. So once the meeting is over, then I'm just going to hit end meeting. Now, when I'm in the view, when I'm in this view, you can't see it right now, but because I need to have another participant in here. So if you click up here, you'll typically see the small little grey box in the top right, and it says enter full screen. Now, if there was somebody else on this call with me, it would give me two options. It would give me gallery view if we were on video, gallery view, and it would give me presenter view. So presenter view basically means the person who is speaking is the person that appears on the screen. So like if you spoke, I would see you, and vice versa. Gallery view just shows the both of us, or the three of us, or the six of us, however many people are in a meeting, will just appear on the screen. So that's just another option up there, top right. So let's go ahead and end meeting, end for all. And that's it, that's Zoom. So again, if I go back to Safari, if I come back here, now it's just kicked me out. That's Zoom in a nutshell. Let's go on and let's look at Microsoft Teams. I'm not going to dig into Microsoft Teams as much as I did as Zoom. The main reason being that if you are a Microsoft school, or if you have been using Microsoft in your school for a while, you would have to use it efficiently with kids. You would have to be set up with a Microsoft account. The kids would potentially have to have Microsoft accounts also. There are a few guest options that can be set up. That would all have to be done on an admin side. So I'm not going to go into the depths of Office. There is really, really good Office 365 resources available, and I'm going to send those along here as well. This is one that we just looked at a few seconds ago. This is Microsoft Teams for Education. It's a really nice quick start guide. So I'm not going to go into the depths on this, mainly because if you're not a Microsoft school and it's not something that your school have the capabilities to roll out, then I think it's not something that you will be able to use. That is my quick take on that. There's a bit of a learning curve for both SNAs and teachers, and certainly there's a learning curve on the other side for parents and students also, where something like Zoom is very easy, just click and open and you're literally there. So that is a quick overview in terms of Microsoft Teams, but don't worry, I'm going to send some additional resources. If you are a school that uses that, we can dig into that a bit more at a later stage. Then we have Google Classroom, which obviously is a widely used one as well. This is just, we use it a little bit in terms of our setup and when we run, like Erasmus courses and whatnot. What I would say about Google Classroom, it is very similar to Teams in the sense that if your school is not a Google school and it's not using Google Classroom, it'll be a little bit difficult again to get that set up. So just be be very mindful in terms of what your school setup is right now and what they have capacity to do. If you are a primary school, a later stage primary school, and you're thinking, look, we haven't actually got anything set up, and you're the IT person there, or you're the admin there, or whatever it might be, your principal, and you're thinking, what am I going to do? Certainly Google Classroom is a great one to go with, as is Teams, but you just want to have the capabilities and the IT savvy to just get it set up. I wouldn't be saying that it's kind of an off the cuff quick setup. You would want to put a bit of time into it. You will need to set up user accounts for all the students that will be using it, all the teachers and SNAs that will be using it. So you just have to think that through in terms of I suppose acceptable usage policy, in terms of privacy statements, in terms of GDPR. There's a whole array of things that come and sit behind that. So I would just be ever so careful. Obviously Zoom, like I said, Zoom is GDPR compliant, but you just need to ensure that you set it up in a safe manner, as is Teams, as is Google Classroom. But again, you just need to make sure it adheres to your setup in your school. So the other one I want to jump onto is Flipgrid, and I really, really like Flipgrid. I covered this a little bit on the webinar. Great piece of technology, works really, really well. It's pretty much a simple enough video interaction, be it two-way video, and they can create videos, they can upload them, you can view them. It's not, it depends on the way you use it, obviously, but it's just a way to give assignments or to give things for each individual student or a group of students to do, and then they can give their feedback in video format or audio. There's an array of other things that they can do, but it's just a nice little way to kind of become a little bit more creative. It's not as restrictive in terms of having to have user accounts and whatnot set up. It does come with iPhone, iPad, Android, and it can be used online as well. So there's a number of different ways to engage with it. I'll pop up some details here. It really is, it is just about kind of becoming a storyteller. What I do like here is obviously the interactions between the educator, so the SNA teacher, the student, and then the family. So families can engage quite a lot with this as well. There's a lot of resources as well. I think they might be towards the top. And it's free obviously for educators to sign up. They do have quite a lot of resources here in terms of where we currently find ourselves. So that's another one that I would certainly advise. Again, if you're not a school that has the capability of Google or Microsoft, then something like Flipgrid could be a quick win, could be something to get set up pretty quickly. Very, very similarly to Flipgrid is Seesaw. A lot of Irish schools are currently using Seesaw. Works very, very well. It is a nice way to be able to, again, communicate from SNA to student, but also having that parental input and parental involvement. So one video that you create could easily be going to the student, and it's a way to engage there. However, you can as easily involve the parent in that kind of communication. And I know with the students that we're working with additional learning needs, you do often need to communicate with the parents in terms of what's happening. And maybe it's kind of role reversal now, that they're telling you what they were like during the day or at the weekend in terms of behavior issues or whatever might have come up. It might be a nice way for parents to give that information to you without having to be directly on the phone. So something like Seesaw for me, I think, is a really, really nice one. Works very, very well for a lot of primary schools. I've seen it used for secondary schools as well here. But again, if it's specifically for SNAs, then I think Seesaw might be the one that I would be sort of opting for in terms of privacy, in terms of GDPR. It's compliant with all that. And quite a lot of resources here in terms of COVID-19, obviously. A lot of stuff around teachers and families and helping families to get set up when they have to use Seesaw. So I'll put some more details up about this. I think it's a really nice one. The other one, if you're on the side of, well, I don't really want that direct engagement, but I do want to give them a task to do, and it's maybe to be screen recorded, and you're a bit unsure how to get it all set up, and maybe you feel comfortable going on camera or not, that's all right too. But Loom is a nice one, and that's completely free. So Loom, loom.com. I'll drop in the links here afterwards. There was one I did at another stage, actually, it was last night. So Loom, basically, you open it up. It's very easy to set up. It's completely free. So what I'm going to do here is basically I want to record something on the screen maybe, or I just want to record me. But you will share the URL or share the link then with the student. So let's go ahead and let's just make one. New video. Eyes earn trust. Did you see that? That's what they say apparently. So I'm trying to look at the camera. I'm trying to look at you here so you can see what I'm doing. But I need to look here as well. So there's a few things here, right? So I can do screen and camera. So it's gonna record the screen, it's gonna record my full desktop or maybe a tab. So I want to just create an actual tab, and that's just what I want to record. You can see that the microphone is picking me up pretty well. I do appreciate that I am very bright here in this, which isn't great. Anyway, let's not get into it. But the window isn't in my face, which it should be if I was doing this correctly. But nonetheless, maybe I don't feel comfortable being on screen. So let's just go with my profile picture, and I can make that a bit smaller as well. I can chuck myself down there, which is fine. And now I could start recording. So I'd hit start recording. It would record my audio, and then it would just record the screen that's in the background. And then once I finish, I'll be able to share that link directly with the student, and they could just watch it on any device just once they can open it. And maybe then you just want to go cam only, right? And so I can just send them this, so again, it's not, I don't have to jump into my WhatsApp, or I don't have to jump into my FaceTime or whatever. I literally can say, well, I want to send a quick check-in to Oisín in the morning at 10:30, but I'm not going to have a direct interaction with him. I want to give him a few things to do. I want to get him to think about, X things, and I want him maybe to do something in the garden or whatever it might be, whatever that student is working on and on that given day. So a nice little way to jump in here, just hit start record, it records you, it saves it automatically, and then you just send them the link. And it's just a nice way of doing it. Let's go ahead and create one. So screen and cam, so full screen. I'll make myself a little bit smaller again. Put myself down there, and I'll hit start recording. So what do I want to record? Your entire screen. I'll select it and I hit share. So there I am. Okay, so again, if I was doing my review of our website or something along those lines, if I wanted to talk about what we do, talk about our courses, talk about our blogs, blah blah blah. There's a really nice blog in here by Tara. As we're on the topic, there it is there. It's a pretty nice one. She put a lot of thought and effort into that one. So if you get a chance, you can read that. And so this is how we would use Loom. I would give an explanation, I'd give some direction, and then I literally would hit finish recording, this little green thing here. Tick. Once I've hit that, brings me back into Loom, which is nice. And there's a preview of my video. You can see the time that it takes to display. Here's the link, so I can copy this link and I can share it directly. I can customize things. I can put in some call to actions. If not to get into too much detail, but if I want to put in a call to action, it might be, here's what I want to review, and the call to action is the website I want you to go and check. So maybe it's ILX maths, sort of it's something around maths, or it's an app, or it's a game, or whatever it might be. Then you can put in your call to action, and that means that a person, when they watch the video, they click on the button or the icon that'll be there, and it'll bring them off to the site that you just demonstrated. So again, Loom is a really nice option. There's an awful lot that's going on here. I appreciate. So what I really tried to cover there in that quick block of time is the kind of 5 or 6 options that I see that are available. So the first being Zoom, it is Microsoft Teams, it is Google Chrome, it is Google Classroom. My apologies. It is Flipgrid, it is Seesaw, and then potentially Loom. And then there's a few other options that you could look at. If you're using a Mac, you could use QuickTime and record videos and share them. What I would uncategorically say is I would not like to see people using their own personal email accounts. It's okay to set these accounts up with those because they don't get shared directly, but please don't be using WhatsApp, don't be using FaceTime, because again, it's all well and good in this current environment, but you don't want your personal details to be getting out there within the student population. Maybe there are certain cases where that's okay, but only you know it best. But I'd be just a little bit mindful of that. And please check in obviously with your school first and foremost, and make sure that it kind of adheres to usage policies within the school. It adheres to GDPR, it adheres to privacy policies that are set out by the school. So I think over the next week or two, we'll get a bit more direction in terms of what's expected. And what I'm going to do next week on our online courses. So there's a good 700 SNAs that have taken, and teachers that have taken our online assistive technology courses. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to develop a bit more in-depth detail around how to support students remotely. So we're going to do a whole module on it. So any of you that are on the course already, you're just going to get a notification at the end of next week or the start of the week after with the links to the course, and you can just log in and take it additionally as you see fit. Those of you who are not on our course and are interested in taking our course, it's still available. We just opened it up at the end of last month. Quite a lot of people signed up again. We've about 700 people that have taken it. We've because of the situation we find ourselves in currently, we have actually reduced the price. So we've brought it down to 110, and you'll have all the information that's there as normal. Not to go into it in great detail, but you'll have all the information that's there as normal. And there's an awful lot of content, but just to really quickly show you. So it's really like getting to know your device. It's looking at tech for reading, scanning pens, reading materials, writing, maths, and kind of preparing for either moving kids into a secondary school environment, or maybe getting them ready potentially for exams. So we do a lot of stuff around study skills and whatnot. But obviously one of the key things now will be to add on the whole section in and around remote learning, and I think that will really play a part. But I'm slow to do it until next week, until I really find out what the department are expecting and what the most up-to-date circular will actually contain. It is giving you 20 hours of CPD, which, dependent on your school, like in a lot of schools that we would have had this course in before, would have taken the course and would have used it as a 20 hours towards your, up to 72 hours or your Crow Park hours, whatever the correct term is there. So certainly that's an option. If you've got any questions or queries, just let me know. That's pretty much it for this session. You will have this video, if you're watching this solely and have not taken a webinar and have not got the email in the last few days from me, then that's okay too. Hopefully this was of help. Any questions, get in touch. It's james@yourability.com or courses@yourability.com. My colleague Erin will pick that up. For those of you that are on the webinar, thank you so much for taking the time. The one quick thing I will say, if you are on the webinar, please fill in the Google form. So we need to know your full name. So that's first name, surname, and email that are to go on the certificates for attending the webinar last week. So please make sure you fill that in, because a lot of people, when they're registered, put in their first name or their surname or their dog's name. If you saw some of the stuff that people registered with, yeah, we certainly couldn't put it on a cert, let's put it that way. So please, if you want a cert, we need that filled in by the middle of next week. And any questions, just get in touch. All right, guys, thanks so much. See you soon.